I have to say that my whole entire look today matches the theme of this new moon, which has a lot to do with breaking out of your shell and trying new things. Hola my beautiful lotus flowers, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're into nerding out on everything astrology, spirituality, and self-transformation, this is a community for you. If you're watching this video right when it comes out, then you will know that I have been taking a little bit of a breather, and my previous video was about resetting your life because I definitely needed a reset. So I wanted to release a more free-flowing video this week, so I decided to release my interpretation of the new moon energy on July 9th, 2021 for the new moon in Cancer. But starting next week, we will have some educational Cancer season videos coming out once again, so that's something to look forward to. But today's video is just going to be an easygoing little synopsis over the energy you could expect to feel for this new moon in Cancer, again on July 9th, 2021. To kick off this video, just in case there's some of you watching who aren't really sure about the general energy of every new moon, regardless of the sign that it's in, I'm just going to give you a little summary of what new moon energy signifies for us. But if you want more detail on the general moon phases, please watch this video because it'll give you a lot better idea of what type of energy revolves around every moon phase. Well, the most significant moon phases anyways. But in general, the new moon signifies new beginnings. That's the most popular way to summarize the theme of every new moon. And this is because we are resetting the energy around the new moon. Now, every new moon obviously has a little bit different of reset energy depending on the signs that it's in and the aspects that are happening at the time. But in general, every new moon is a great time to reevaluate how you want to move into the next lunar cycle. It signifies a new beginning of the next 28 days of the lunar cycle that we go through until the next new moon, and then we reset again, and so on and so forth. So it's a nice time to reevaluate any of your goals, your manifestations, your intentions, and see exactly where you want to go for the next lunar cycle until we reach another new moon. Just to make sure I keep myself on track and I don't ramble too much because, you know, I just have so much air in my chart, I tend to ramble. So I need organization to keep myself on track. But anywho, so I have a little list of notes here, so I will be glancing at that as we move along to keep myself on board. I just want to summarize the general energy that we have present for the new moon in Cancer this coming weekend, July 9th, 2021. With the new moon being in the sign of Cancer, the moon is actually at home, meaning that it's returned to the sign that it actually rules. So the moon rules over Cancer, and it rules over our emotional nature and has a lot to do with family life as well as our home life and what makes us comfortable, and really returning to ourselves and what makes us feel cozy and happy in our more intimate lives. With the new moon in Cancer, the emotions are going to be at the forefront more than ever. Every moon deals a lot with emotional nature and what's going on within our mental process and our emotional process, but when the moon is in Cancer, this is amplified tenfold because of the fact that it rules over Cancer to begin with. For many of us, there may be a lot of emotional things coming up with this new moon, and we'll get more into the specifics in a second, but I just want you to get a general idea of what energy this may be bringing you. So regardless of your zodiac sign, there's going to be a lot of potential emotional turbulence going on. The area of life that it's happening in will depend on you, but it could come to personal relationships, a lot to do with just returning to what makes you happy. That's really the theme here, since the moon is a very intimate planet and it's in the sign of Cancer, the one that it rules over. We are really returning home to ourselves. We're really trying to figure out what makes us feel whole, what makes us feel the happiest, and what makes us feel the most fulfilled when you strip away everybody and everything else, every outside influence. we need to return home to ourselves, and this new moon is really finding out what that means for us and setting intention around that. Before we dive deeper into the energies of this new moon, please, if you like the video so far, be sure you don't forget to like, comment, and hit the bell so that way this video can reach so many more people just like you who want to know about this energy. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Now moving into the more specific energy around this new moon. The aspects that are going on with the moon at the time of the new moon and the full moon, so on and so forth, is also very important to look at because it affects the energy that I just talked about when it comes to, you know, returning home to ourselves and whatnot. The main, most important aspect that is happening to this new moon is moon sextile Uranus. And if you don't know what a sextile is, then it's basically just one of the harmonious aspects in astrology. It doesn't always signify harmony, but majority of the time it signifies that there's something harmonious. There's like a harmonious energy and interaction going on with the two planets involved. So between the moon and Uranus, there's some harmony happening. There's some good energy, positive energy being channeled between the two. And if you're not aware, Uranus tends to be the planet of unconventional thoughts, humanitarianism, kind of breaking the general molds and barriers around us. So it's kind of the opposite of Saturn. Saturn tends to represent traditional structure. Uranus tends to signify breaking down traditional structures or walls in some way. So in terms of the moon sextile Uranus, what may be happening is you may be finding that in order to figure out how to return home to yourself or figure out what you truly want, aside from all the outside influences, again, the theme, returning home to yourself, what's happening here is you're probably having a lot of off-the-wall thoughts and emotions coming out of nowhere. And this will show up differently for everybody, but it could be in regards to many different areas of your life. Maybe it's your relationship. You're finally willing to jump out of a relationship. Maybe it's your job. You're finally willing to jump out of a job because it is not resonating with you, and this may be standing out more than ever. Things that you were kind of just going along with, things that you were kind of just following the routine or the structure of, and you knew deep down that you didn't like it, but you kind of just became stagnant and let it be. Uranus being so close to the moon and creating this energy with it is really pushing those uncomfortable feelings to the forefront, those feelings that are pushing you to make maybe a drastic move of some sort, or think differently about your situation and get more creative or think outside the box for once. Because we have Uranus, which is the planetary ruler of Aquarius, not the traditional ruler of Aquarius, that's actually Saturn, but it is the current ruler of Aquarius. Because we have Uranus, a planet that is associated with the air element, which has a lot to do with innovation, social life, being logical and intellectual, interacting with the moon, which is a luminary that deals heavily with our emotional nature and some of our instinctual mental process. What you're seeing here is a very peaceful energy happening for once between the mind and the heart. So the moon is the heart and Uranus can be seen more as the mind. And because there's sextile energy between the two, that harmonious energy happening, your mind and your heart for once may not be fighting each other. So the things that you have wanted or felt passionate about, it's starting to make sense what you need to do to move forward with that, because you're able to think clearly and more logically about it. With this energy present, it's super duper important that you make sure that you are paying attention to those thoughts and feelings that are coming up, because they should be working pretty closely together to make it clear to you what you need to do or what you truly want in life. Now, with that being said, we do actually have an interesting, potentially conflicting energy going on with this moon as well. And it's not directly to the moon, but it affects it because we actually have three significant planets that are square Uranus right now. At the time of this new moon, Venus, Mars, and Saturn will all be square Uranus, which, as we just talked about, Uranus is directly working with the moon's energy right now in a more harmonious aspect called the sextile. But when it comes to squares, if you're not aware, squares usually create a bit more conflict. It may not always be a bad thing. This Squares are known to be one of the biggest aspects when it comes to finding growth and actually identifying how you can grow. So squares are not all bad or anything, so don't get too worried, but they can show us key areas where we can find the most positive growth in our lives because of this conflicting energy that's going on and needs to be worked on. So with this in particular, with Venus, Mars, and Saturn all squaring Uranus, this can be creating some potential emotional conflict and maybe even mental conflict when it comes to the things that you love and are passionate about. Mars and Venus are two planets that deal a lot with passion, love, interest, so on and so forth. Venus usually represents more of the aesthetic, romantic side of things that we love, whereas Mars usually represents more of the passionate sexual tension that goes on in our lives and things that we are sexually attracted to, and really what drives us and brings us our strongest ambition. So you have those two planets that are squaring Uranus, working directly with the moon. This may, like I said, bring up emotional conflict in those areas of your life. For some of you, this area may show up making you feel like you're kind of being pushed back against a wall in terms of how you make your money, what career you're following, or even the relationships that you have surrounding you, because these are all things that are very heavily tied to what drives you, your ambition, your passion, and your interests. So these three things, career, relationships, finances, those three things may be where you're feeling the most emotional and mental turmoil if this square is bringing you a bit more conflicting energy. And you may be feeling backed up against a wall. And that's not always a bad thing, because sometimes that's what we need in order to jump forward and dive off of the edge that we're scared to dive off of into the unknown. So this may not be a bad thing, but if you are feeling that way in some aspect of your life, it is super important that you pay attention to that at this time, because it is telling you something about what you need to do to move forward. So for some people, you may be feeling like wanting to make a super impulsive decision to break out of the typical molds and barriers, and this comes with Saturn. Like we said, Saturn represents traditional structure and whatnot. So we're seeing a bit of a conflicting energy between the traditional structures, which is Saturn, squaring Uranus, which is breaking down traditional structures. So you may be feeling like, oh, I've been staying in this relationship or this job, even though I'm not happy with it. I've just been stagnant, and now I just feel like I just want to run away and let everything go. Or you want to make some type of really reckless or impulsive decision, and that's Mars coming into play as well in order to get out of that situation. For other people, this energy may be making you feel even more conflicted about breaking out of traditional things that are going on in your life and breaking barriers. You may be feeling even more stuck. Instead of feeling very driven to make a change, you may feel even more stuck and afraid to make a change, depending on how this energy is showing up for you. But these are different ways that it could show up for you. But either way, you can identify this, and identifying it is the first part of being able to move forward from it. Just know that this energy is telling you something that you need to know about moving forward positively in your life. And again, this is the new moon. So this is about resetting, new beginnings, moving forward in your life and making a positive change to where you want to be in the future. That is what the new moon is most powerful for. So please be sure you're paying attention to these energies. They are not speaking to you for nothing. And lastly, do not be scared of these emotions and thoughts that are coming up. Being fearful of these emotions, whether you deem them as positive or negative, will only hold you back more. Make sure you're taking them in, allowing yourself to observe them, and work with them, because they are trying to help you. I hope you enjoyed this general little synopsis and reading of the summary of our new moon energy, with this new moon in Cancer coming this Friday, right? I don't know, but July 9th. I really hope that this helps bring some light to some of the things you may have been feeling and how you can move forward positively with it. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you did enjoy this video, and leave a comment down below letting me know how you've been feeling with the new moon energy coming up, and if you enjoyed this video. You can also head over to the LaBlue Lotus Facebook community, where we talk even more about using astrology, spirituality for self-transformation. You can also head over to my Instagram at Marisa LaBlue for a more personal, in-depth side of this spiritual journey. And you can watch these videos if you haven't already, because they will expand your knowledge and help you even more when it comes to this information. Thank you so much again for watching. Until next time, adios.